Dudes to Dads, brought to you by Dad University, is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. And we are back.
We are back.
I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And this is Dudes to Dads again. Just come back for more.
Keep coming back.
Keep coming back for the pain. Actually, it's to get rid of the pain. That's why we do this. It's cathartic.
Right.
Welcome, everybody. Alan, how are you?
Great.
Yeah? Everything's good. We've got some exciting things planned for this show.
Yeah.
I wanted to share some lessons that I've learned in the hopes of some other people being able to benefit from those lessons because maybe they are going through it, they're not thinking of those things, or two, they can just identify with them because they're learning them.
Right.
They are lessons that I've learned from being a father. And these are life lessons. These are deeper things, not just shallow, I learned how to apply butt paste,
right. If you want to see episode 1.
Right. Which I did learn that, but that wasn't necessarily a lesson I wanted to share with everybody.
Yeah.
Because when you become a dad, everybody seems to have advice for you.
Sure.
Everyone, this and that.
Yeah.
The problem is that a lot of that advice doesn't apply to the deep, serious stuff.
Okay.
It's kind of like I said, it's butt paste, it's get a lot of sleep. It's like,
it's that's kind of tangible items.
Yes. It's not psychological. It's not sort of the really deep things that I like to get into when we do this. So I've put together 6 lessons and hope they can help the others along their journey. Okay. So let's get to them.
Yeah.
Number 1, it's not all about me.
You
that
learned
was a
this
tough one.
I was going to say, you had a lot of time learning this one, right?
I did. So what happens is this reality kicks in, and I don't know if it kicks in. Certainly, there's it kicks in before the baby's born, but but it absolutely kicks in once the baby's here.
Sure,
is that this other thing is now totally dependent on you?
Right.
Actually, more so you're the woman because of the.
Well, yeah, we talked about that previously, where it could be like, you may even feel withdrawn because that baby's more reliant on the mother, but then that's still things you got to provide to this.
Totally, baby. Yeah, and that's what I was getting to. If you're in a relationship, the dependency gets even more compounded. So you're now feeling. I don't want to use the term weight, but it is a little bit. It's where you're now, wow, this thing is dependent on me. Like I can't not provide for this thing.
That should be
and then
terrible.
Your significant other saying, hey, I need you for this, and this is us together, and we have to do that. So you start to realize where, as a dude, a lot of it is it can be about you.
Yeah.
It's not all about you.
Right.
And the decisions and the choices that you start to make now have a ripple effect on the others around you. And so I think one of the lessons that I learned is how enjoyable it can actually be when it's not all about me.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So that's kind of certainly the lesson is that it's not all about me.
Right.
But beyond that, of what did I learn is saying, when you are able to help somebody else, and whether that is your spouse or your child or whatever, that feels really good.
Sure, yeah.
And so that was something where when we think often that if we're helping ourselves, we're being selfish, that's feeding ourselves and that's making us happy.
Right.
And it might, but not realizing how happy it, and that you can feel from helping somebody else.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You kind of get over that whole selfish mentality and adopt something.
You hope so.
You become an us rather than a me. Know, and I think that's part of it. Even when you're married or you're in a relationship, that doesn't always happen. Right.
But
with a kid, I think it probably more so brings that.
You're more likely to do that with the child than you are with a significant other.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, no, I'm doing my own thing. Versus when it's a kid, it's like
this one's genetically part of me, so I got to do something.
Yeah, you can't really do your own thing unless your spouse or whatever is really handling it all.
Right.
And then you're just being a jerk.
Right. Yeah.
So
exactly.
It doesn't work very well. It won't last that long.
Right. For sure.
So that was the first lesson. Okay. The second one, enjoy the present. I remember thinking even before our first kid was born, or, even after, thinking, I can't wait until she can talk, because it'll be so much fun that like I can have a conversation with her.
Yeah.
Or when my son was born, it was like, oh, I can't wait till him and I can play catch.
Right. Yeah.
And it was all these things about the future. And so I think while it's okay to think about the future, when you have your children, you're going to want to try to live in the moment more.
Right.
And appreciate the present moment more.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's hard.
Of course.
When you're going through things, you wish it was a different way.
Right.
But they say, and it's so true, is you don't realize how fast it goes until you've lived through it and you have the chance to look back.
Right. Yeah.
And you just can't believe, I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old as we're doing this podcast.
Sure.
And it's just, you look at a picture, you look at anything, and you can't believe how fast it's gone. Even though there's some parts that are really, really slow.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So did you find it that you were not living in the present when you had your first child?
Yeah,
or more so the first child versus your second?
Well, that's what I mean. I think I was often, I can't wait till he walks.
Yeah.
I can't wait till he smiles at me.
Yeah.
I can't wait to, and it's okay for that thing. But what happens is you're wishing for the future things to
and
happen.
missing things that are happening.
And then when that happens, you're just wanting something else.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait till he plays blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Or can't wait till she's old enough to,
Yeah.
And instead of just saying, oh, this is where we're at right now, let me enjoy this because it's not going to last.
Right.
And that's the part about being present.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to miss opportunities to be present.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the key.
I totally get that. Yeah.
So that's
a
number
life
2.
lesson for sure.
That is a lesson.
Yeah.
Number 3, focus on the positive. So as a dad, you are no question going to be faced with some seriously rough times. And that can be rough times with your child, rough times with your significant other, or even within yourself.
Sure.
And you see often even in the meetup where, they're about to have a baby or just had a baby and there's some sort of huge job transition. They're arguing with their wife. Their self-worth and self-acceptance has gone down. There's all kinds of stuff that happens.
Yeah.
So that is very, very difficult sometimes to deal with.
Yeah.
And so it's, granted, it's easy to say, think about the positive, but there's techniques, obviously, as it relates to your child, you think about the things that your child does well. Because we have a tendency to think about how can they be improved.
Right.
So you think about how they can do well or the things that they do well and focus on that. The other, maybe your relationship. There's aspects of your relationship, especially when you have young children, it makes it really difficult. It's hard to, have energy,
yeah, for sure.
Feel close, you're busy, worrying about the kids, intimacies, all kinds of things are going on. And you want to think about the things in your relationships that are working well.
Yeah.
It's a hard one.
Sure.
It is. I'm not, this is not like life lessons that I'm like, oh yeah, I got it.
Right.
And then the other thing is the things within yourself so that you don't get down on yourself, thinking about the things within yourself that are going well, and focusing on those things as well. So it's all 3 angles of focusing on something that is positive. One of the hints that I can give is, we've gone over this and look at our podcast on gratitude is express gratitude whenever you can.
Sure.
And wherever you can. Yeah. So just like the being present, it's, being grateful that your child can crawl.
Right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. That he has 10 fingers, 10 toes.
Yeah. Or that, you have somebody that you can go through this with, who's helping you take care of the child.
Yeah. A lot of your lessons so far, at least, have been kind of letting go of the self. It's kind of a really kind of a big overarching lesson.
Totally.
Yeah.
You're forced to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think expressing gratitude is just a really strong way to help you focus on the positive.
Right.
Because, when you're feeling down, the best way to get out of that is to express gratitude.
Yeah.
It really is the best way.
For sure.
So that's number 3.
Yeah.
Number 4, nothing is forever. So, in talking about how you're going to be faced with difficult times, the good news is that they don't last forever.
Right.
The bad things don't last forever.
Sure.
So, people often say like, this too shall pass.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the truth. It's you often think when you're going through something that this is the way that it's always going to be, and there's no change ever. Like, this is it, and that's not the case. New things happen, both good and bad, etc.
Yeah.
I think when you remember that and kind of thinking to yourself, okay, this isn't going to last forever, whatever it is you're going through, it helps you get through the difficult times, but it also can help you be more present because the positive things don't last forever either.
Right. Sure.
So
you have to go back to the previous thing you mentioned and be like, hey, this is something that I need to remember and relish in that thing, right?
Yeah. Being present because it's not going to last forever.
Right.
There's going to be a last bath time. There's going to be a last feeding to the child. There's all these kinds of things where you don't think about that.
Right.
And at the time, they may or may not be a big deal to you, but just nothing's forever.
Sure.
And I said, those are easy things. Those are good things. But, the crying of the baby at night, or the colic, or trouble sleeping and all these things that you go through. It doesn't last forever.
Sure.
Hopefully.
Right. Yeah, right.
They can get their money back if it does happen. Yeah. Number 5, they watch everything you do. So that was a lesson that I also have learned.
Yeah.
If you want them to be nice, guess what?
You got to be nice.
You got to be nice.
Yeah.
From all the great things that you do, all the way down to the bad habits. The little one is watching.
Right.
And so if you have bad habits, they see it and they will duplicate it.
Right.
Or do something very close to it. So if you need a reason to keep yourself in check, a child can often do that. Monkey see, monkey do. So just know that whatever you're doing, the child is watching.
Right.
So that, that can be difficult sometimes, especially when the child throws it back at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, hey, Dad. Blah, 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 blah.
Remember that thing?
Oh, wow. That's how. Where did he get that from?
A mirror.
I don't know. It must have been their mother. It could have not have been me. No. Friends at school. That's where they learned it. Friends at school. It's not me. I don't do that.
Of course not.
And the last one, which is just the greatest thing of all, is that empathy solves many problems. If you've watched some of the other videos, you've heard us talk about, or some of my videos and audio too. I mean, we talk about it on the podcast.
Sure.
But I've done a lot on the videos about empathy. And so if we here is, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes is not easy, but it's very, very powerful.
Sure.
So if you can look at the world, if you have a 3-year-old and you can look at the world from a 3-year-old's perspective, your responses and the way that you deal with things shift. You don't get as frustrated when the child can't find their shoes.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're 3 years old.
They only have 3 years of experience in life.
Not even that. A couple months.
Right.
And you realize when you have empathy for your child, you realize how difficult it is.
Yeah.
And it really, really helps.
I remember when we did that episode about, one of your children with the shoes thing. And I just think about that. So yeah, their perspective is completely different. Their world is only a certain amount of hours, let alone days, let alone months, let alone years. We have all this experience behind us. Like, well, shoes aren't a big deal right now. Just get this thing. And they're going, yeah, but I'm 6 and I don't understand that part of it. And I've only had limited experience on this planet to absorb all this.
I mean, they haven't even messed up enough,
right?
To be able to learn, and then the brain capacity and the memory and all that stuff.
Well, yeah. And even if they are a super sensitive, cool kid, they only have a limited amount of experience they can source from.
Totally.
So it's
not easy.
Not easy.
And heck, I mean, if you're practicing empathy, you might even look at things from your significant other's perspective, which will be just completely game changing.
Right.
All of a sudden having empathy for all those around you.
Yeah.
It is really life changing. Having empathy and deploying it and practicing it, it changes your world and those around you.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
So that's what we have. Those 6 life lessons.
Yeah.
Those are probably the biggest things I think that I've learned or that have impacted me, that if people can say like, what have you gotten out of fathering? Those are some of them.
Sure.
Those are some big ones.
Those, then they're really big. And actually, like you said, they're life lessons because it's not just pertaining to raising your kids. Right. It's really raising yourself.
It's how it's affected me.
It's affected you. Yeah. And I think by raising your kids, you become a different type of person that had to understand and live in the moment a little bit more and those type of things. They can help out in any situation.
Yeah. I mean, this could also be titled, how do kids change you?
Sure. Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
I mean, they might impact you in some other ways.
Right.
You have a little more gray hair, a couple wrinkles.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But this is a podcast, so they're not seeing it on video.
I put a correlation to that because my gray has not come. We're the same age. And actually one of my other colleagues who just had kids and he's getting really gray.
Yeah.
And then he got a joke and he's like, you dye your hair, huh? And I was like,
no, I just don't have kids.
I just don't have kids yet, so it's not gray yet.
Although you have good genetics too.
Genetics helps, for sure. Absolutely.
The Bush family has quite the head of hair.
Yeah,
so.
Right, yeah. I think that helps out there. I'm losing some, but no grace.
So what should people do if they have some feedback or some comments? What should they do?
They should email us, podcast@dudesthedads.com, Twitter @dudesthedads, Facebook dudesthedads.com, and go to YouTube and subscribe to Dad University and Dudes the Dads. A lot of great information on there. Please go to iTunes and Stitcher and leave some reviews. And I think we're on Google Play now, or one of those syndication places. Wherever you see us.
The interwebs.
The interwebs. Please leave a comment, subscribe to that channel, and leave 5 stars or a thumbs up or whatever else you can give us. So that would really help perpetuate the show.
Well, excellent. Alan, thank you as always. And we will see you next time.
See you next time.